Yeah. So what I'm doing now is not everything. I always say things are just like design. Like it doesn't. It's not like really quick. You don't just have start knocking down the walls and throwing in the finishes. That's a plan, right? You have to plan for that. So right now with my podcast, which I've just announced on my Instagram and on my Facebook group, which is getting really good really good feedback, is my podcast I've got coming out. And initially the podcast was going to be a podcast. And then I thought, well, maybe it should be video first, that I then have the audio ripped and put into the podcast form. And that was where I kind of sat for the last 3 months. Then I woke up this morning and I just thought, you know what? I think it's going to be a podcast, because the way that I want to do videos, some of the way that I want to do the videos, some I can transcribe into the podcast, and some I will. I will take some old content, and I've got a guy doing that right now for me. He's ripping the audio, and we're creating them as podcasts, so they will be nice fillers. I just realized that the format that I want to do it, the conversations that we're going to be having, as much as it's nice to be able to think that you can repurpose everything, when you look at people who have shared videos to, well, let's just say more like a live video on Facebook, and then they share it to YouTube. It doesn't do the same, because you're not really addressing that audience. You haven't made the video. You haven't, I'm going to turn that off. For that specific platform. So as much as I love the idea of being able to repurpose things and, save time, sometimes it doesn't quite make sense. And the more I thought about this morning, the more I was like, okay, no, this is going to be better, in a podcast format where we can have a conversation. Because when I'm doing a video, I kind of want to be moving around, and then I might want to show somebody's plans, and I might want to show, just different things that we're doing. So that I got to keep to the video. And then this podcast, I'm going to keep separately. And I think it's actually, even though it's kind of like now I'm doing double the work, I think it's going to be easier, because the work that I would have to try to do to try to get that video to then become a podcast and make it work. It's like when you have a client who, they want to redo their house, and they want to pretty much redo their entire house, but instead of bulldozing the house and starting from scratch, they're going to keep certain bits, and now you got to work around those bits. Right? Now you've got to work, and it just almost becomes more difficult than what it would be to just started right from scratch. So that's where I'm at right now. So, but to show you guys a little bit of behind the scenes, what I'm doing is I'm asking. I really want people to be very truthful. I want this to be. That's why I'm calling it the naked truth, right? TNT, explosive, the naked truth. Because it's always been very important for me to be transparent and to be as honest as I can be about as much as I can be. I appreciate that there's sometimes I want to pull out a client file and start venting and sharing certain things that went good, but things that went kind of shitty. And I can't always do that, because there's a possibility that, that client could be watching, or I could offend somebody. But I tend not to worry about that now, especially if it was something a few years down the road, because if they were going to get in touch with me, okay, so I didn't name and shame you. I didn't give details, right? I'm sharing with other people to help designers learn. So, but I also want us to be very truthful. So in doing so, now this is where the back end stuff gets busy, right, guys? It's not like I'm just going to do a podcast, or I'm just going to start a YouTube video, or channel. It's a lot of back end work. So now I've got to obviously get something on my website. I've got to have it say podcast. I want to have somewhere where I can send you guys, if you are interested in being on the podcast. Now you've got to go to this landing page, read about, which podcast maybe you're interested in doing, or that we've asked you to do. And then looking at what it's all about, signing something to say, yes, I agree that I understand that you want the truth. I don't want numbers made up. I don't want stories made up. The more factual it is, the more helpful it's going to be for people. And the other thing is that also signing off. So I have these documents that I'm looking at right now. It's basically saying that you're publicly sharing information release. I've had a lawyer look over this. So it's just basically making sure that, this is all of the steps in place. So I'll have the checklist. Okay, you went to my website, you checked out the landing page, you submitted this form, I have your headshot, I have your bio, I have this form that you signed, and I printed it off and I put it in the folder, and we've sent you the Zoom link, and now we have the date of when the podcast is going to be, and then we have the date of when it's going to be released, and I've done the intro and the outro. Like, it's a lot of work, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Can I commit to this? Well, you know what? We'll see. We'll see, because I still want to do my videos. That's still really important to me. And so that's what I just want to give you guys a little bit of a look in the background of what I'm doing, but also know, because I'll just be as transparent as I can with you. I'm not working on nearly as many projects as I used to in interior design, but I still want to do interior design. I think it's important for me to stay relevant. I still enjoy it. But I clearly can't work on 8 to 12 projects and do a podcast and do YouTube videos weekly for 2 different channels, and still be not divorced. Okay. So I've minimized the design that I've done. And what I've heard from most people is that, or most business people, is that at some point you do have to choose. If you have a couple of businesses, Gary Vaynerchuk, he says eventually it's going to be 80-20 somewhere. Like, you're going to have to choose which is the 80 and which is the 20. And I never really wanted my firm to get to be a big firm. Like, I never wanted it to be, 20 people or 10 people or even 8 people. I have people that work for me and then I subcontract out. But, I didn't want it to be that. I love, Laurel Burns, whole, business model, which, she writes 3 blogs a week, and she can pretty much do that from her apartment in New York. She can do that from Dubai or the beaches of the Bahamas. Like, I just love that. And I also love speaking, meeting people, and still knowing and learning new things, feeling fabrics, textures, and seeing tiles and things with design. But my heart really is more in creating video, is sharing with you guys, sharing as much as I can, and the process. So this whole process right here, documenting the process, which Gary Vee, again, talks about a lot. And so that's kind of where I'm at. So this will evolve. This is change is good, but I just wanted to let you know that this is kind of behind the scenes. So I've got we're also going to be doing some project case studies. That's going to be on my color channel for YouTube. I've just signed up to a course. Actually, I'm in the middle of just the prep work, 50% done on that nearly, for a YouTube course that I invested $5,000 US in. And it's a 90-day course, so I need to focus there as well. I still have ideas for my YouTube channel for coaching, which will revolve around, how to run a successful business, how to consulting with clients, how to speak to clients, how to deal with awkward situations. I have one that will come out at some point about, headshots. People always ask me about, how did you get all those photos? How did you know what photos to do? What do you use the photos for? So I have all of these ideas. And then on top of it, I'm throwing in a podcast, which I do have somebody who is already going to, we will record the podcast, and then they will be the ones who basically take it from there, set it all up, and then I need to do the intro and outro. I'm sure there'll be a million more things that need to be put on top of that. So, and I have more ideas for products that I want to sell, not only for designers that are going to help your business, but also for DIYers out there in YouTube land, which is why I'm really reluctant to stop filming video on my YouTube color channel, Color and Design. So I got a lot of balls that I'm juggling up in the air, but I also have a lot of people helping me, and I got a lot of energy, so I'm going to keep moving with that. All right, you guys, if you have any questions, let me know, and if you'd like to be on the podcast, just reply to me. Just say, hey, keep me in mind for the podcast. But just know that it'll be public. So if you're sharing experiences of what you did and what you learned, like my Widwills, about situations that happened in your business and with clients, it's going to be out in the world. So you have to be comfortable with it being out in the world. And I think that's really, I'm not asking for names. I'm not asking for, addresses of your clients, or it could be something that happened a couple of years ago. It doesn't have to be something that happened this week. All right. So, but drop me a line, let me know, and either myself or one of my admins will reply. Or even if we don't reply, just know that we're keeping the information, and we'll get back to you to let you know if it's something that we're going to be pursuing, as having you as a guest, which I hope to have many of you as a guest. So anyway, that's where I'm at, you guys. All the best, and I'll see you soon. Bye.